to invite Mr. Mutuma Kanata, MBS. He's the Executive Director for the NGOs Coordination Board, to give his remarks. Karibu.
Thank you very much, the MC of the day, for the good job. The Principal Secretary, Ministry of Interior and National Administration, Dr. Raymond Omoro, the Chairman of the Board, Gishira Kibara, board members present, representatives of various national and international NGOs, private sector members present, other government officials who are here, my colleagues at the NGO Coordination Board, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is with great pleasure and honor that once again I want to welcome you all today for this official launch of the NGO Week 2013 and the Annual Sector Report 2021-2022 here at KICC, Nairobi. I'm very grateful, Principal Secretary and the board members led by the Chairman and all participants for gracing this annual event. The theme of this year's NGO Week, NGOs in the Frontline, Powering Sustainable Development in the 21st Century, perfectly captures the remarkable efforts and impact of NGOs. These organizations are not just engines of progress. They address the various complex challenges we face and promote development for all and in all parts of our country, including the marginalized areas. We have dedicated this week to celebrate the incredible contributions of non-governmental organizations. This occasion provides us with the opportunity to reflect upon the pivotal role that NGOs play on the front line of powering sustainable development in the 21st century, and also expanding the democratic space, promoting respect for human rights and responsible citizenship. We have a lot of activities planned for this week, including hosting online webinars, having exhibitions at KICC grounds starting today, holding public lecture. So the NGO this week and part of next week, we'll have a buzz of activities here in Nairobi and the rest of the country. The NGOs Week is also being marked in our regional offices, Nakuru, Kisumu, and Eldoret. This, of course, is in collaboration with NGOs around the country. These activities will include planting trees, charity walks, medical camps, public lectures, among other activities. In the 21st century, sustainable development is not an option, but an imperative. NGOs have emerged as key agents for change, driving innovative and transformative approaches to achieve sustainable development goals. They leverage their local knowledge, expertise, and close ties with the communities to design and implement programs that address the root causes of social and environmental challenges. NGOs are at the forefront of catalyzing sustainable development by embracing the principles of inclusivity, collaboration, and empowerment. They work closely with the government, business, and other civil society organizations, including CBOs, to forge partnerships that amplify their impact and foster meaningful change. By bringing together these diverse stakeholders, NGOs create platforms for dialogue, knowledge sharing, corrective action, ensuring that no one is left behind in the journey towards sustainable development. The annual NGOs Week 2022 Sector Report 2021-2022, which is being launched today, contains very critical information about the sector. I think we have already seen that it includes issues around funding, projects implemented, issues of employment, organizations that are leading in terms of their contribution in programs, what kind of impacts they're having in communities. And this was being done and is being done to fulfill the board's mandate of advising the government on the work of NGOs and advise the NGO sector players to align their projects and programs to Kenya's development plan. I would like to know that in the last year, we have seen an increase in NGOs' compliance levels with respect to submission of annual reports from 28% to 31%. However, I urge all NGOs to prioritize the timely filing of your annual reports. This ensures that accurate and up-to-date information is available to regulatory bodies, donors, and the public. It also facilitates effective monitoring, evaluation, and collaboration among NGOs, government agencies, and other stakeholders. The board is grateful for the continued good working relationship forged with NGOs. It is committed to creating an enabling environment that supports the invaluable work of NGOs, will provide capacity building opportunities, ensure transparent, accountable governance mechanisms. Together, we can build a vibrant ecosystem that enables NGOs to thrive and contribute to sustainable development in a meaningful way. Allow me to thank all our key partners who have supported us in the NGOs Week. They include Plan International, Troke International, Shining Hope for Communities, popularly known as SHOFCO, APSA, Bank, Broke East Africa, ACT Alliance, Compassion, Fin Church Aid, Kenya Good Neighbors, Stand Big, World Vision, Action Against Hunger, Cooperative Bank, Family Bank, among others. To those who have supported us in one way or another, thank you very much. In conclusion, I want to extend my gratitude to all the dedicated and passionate players in the NGO sector. The board is committed to fostering an environment of collaboration where NGOs can share knowledge, resources, and best practices. By pooling our expertise and working together, we can amplify our impact and achieve sustainable change. Transparency and accountability should be at the forefront of our operations. We must uphold the highest standards of governance and ensure that our actions align with our values. By doing so, we can build trust with our stakeholders and maintain the credibility that is vital for our work. Once again, I want to thank you for embracing this occasion. Bwana PS, special thanks for creating time despite the many things that are on your desk. Handling the security docket is not easy, and you have kindly agreed to grace this occasion. All of you, thank you, and God bless you all. Now it's my opportunity to invite the chairman of the NGO Coordination Board, Mr. Kishira Kebara, to come and make his remarks as he invites the Principal Secretary, Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government. Welcome, Chair.
Thank you, Edie. Good morning, everyone. The Principal Secretary, Interior and Administration, Dr. Raymond Omolo, fellow board members, and I want the board members to stand so that they can introduce themselves. They can be given a mic, just say your name. The board members, please.
Thank you for the opportunity, and welcome the PS and all the protocols, all the visitors that have come here. My name is Judith Miruka, NGO Coordination Board member.
Thank you. My name is Joseph Rapto, Development Director, NGO Board.
My name is Jitrav Githendo, Board Member, NGO Coordination Board.
My name is Nicodemus Bore, the NGO Coordination Board Director.
My name is Honorable David Alasankori, member of NGO Coordination Board.
Yes, Cheboy is here. There are some who are not here because they are held up elsewhere. But Bwana PS, let me begin by welcoming you and all the other guests, including the representatives of NGOs, and there are many of them here, both local and international, and we want to recognize you. Feel most welcome. We also welcome the private sector, which is very well represented here. We really appreciate your support throughout this period. This event will not be possible without the collaboration that we get from all the partners. And it was stated by somebody, it's really a celebration. I think it was equated to Christmas. Christmas is a bit far off, but I think it's always a good time to celebrate. Let me begin by giving special thanks to the PS for being here. I think we all know what's happening around the country in terms of security issues. And for him to find time to be here with us, and not just to be here technically, but to actually sit here with us, come on time. It's very rare that PSs come on time. So for PS Interior to be here on time, it is really a great honor. So can we clap for him? Of course, we thank the minister because whenever he is here to represent him. So we want to also give a special thanks to the Minister for Interior, Professor Kithure Kindiki, for being very supportive of the NGO sector. Let me begin by saying that it's indeed a great pleasure to participate in the launch of the NGO Week 2023 and also the annual sector report for 2021-2022. This is the 5th annual NGO sector report, which presents the state of the NGO sector. It is indeed a very important milestone, particularly in the relationship between NGOs and the government. You know, there was a time there was quite a bit of tension, but we have been able to overcome that and build very good relationships with the government and other partners, including the international and local donors, and also the private sector, and the communities we work with, and that's what we are actually celebrating. As indicated earlier, the theme for this year is NGOs in the front line, powering sustainable development in the 21st century. And this clearly captures the invaluable role played by NGOs in the efforts to create a better world. NGOs in this country have a long history of participating in development in a very innovative and very participatory manner. They supplement the efforts of government in a way no other sector can supplement the work of government. They also work with communities in a way that no other sector can work with communities. I therefore feel privileged to chair the board of this important sector, which is charged with the responsibility of advising the government on the contribution of NGOs to national development and also providing policy guidelines to NGOs on how to align their programs and projects to Kenya's national development priorities. Our role is primarily to coordinate and facilitate the work of NGOs. So we should always be regarded as facilitators whenever we interact with NGOs. The purpose of this report is actually to highlight the important work done by NGOs so that it's not lost whenever we discuss national development. By presenting actual data and indicating the trends, we are able as NGOs to be able to know where we can improve and to be able to know where we can collaborate with other sectors, including the government. It's also a transparency and accountability measure. We know that we handle other people's funds as NGOs. The money we use, whether from international sources or from local sources, is given to us by those who intend to improve the welfare and the lives of Kenyans. So we must be able to account and say we have delivered on the mandate and resources we were given as NGOs by our donors to the beneficiaries who are intended to benefit from those efforts. NGOs have continued to urge the government to improve on the regulatory framework, and we have engaged a lot. And I think I had some mention of that this morning about operationalization of the PBO Act. I think all of you know how much efforts we have put to ensure the Act is operationalized. We are lucky because the government has committed in its own manifesto to operationalize the PBO Act. So we are already in discussions with the ministry in terms of how that can be done. And I'm sure the PS will be saying a bit on that. Why do we want the PBO Act to be operationalized? We want it to be operationalized so that we have a better framework for the work that we do, a modern, a robust framework within which we can carry out the development activities that we are known for as a sector. We have seen that the sector continues to enjoy confidence in the sense that we have seen that funding is actually going up despite all the challenges we know in the funding sector globally. The Kenyan NGO sector is actually getting more funding from the report we have received. And that's very encouraging. It shows a lot of confidence. But we must then justify that confidence by the actual delivery of services. We know we are capable of doing that as a sector if the right environment is created. NGOs serve as incubators of innovation and creativity. They harness the power of technology, embrace data-driven approaches, pioneer groundbreaking solutions that address emerging issues. They harness the efforts and energies of all stakeholders by adopting participatory methodologies, and they also advocate for reforms whenever there is need for reforms. And we have seen the work they have done in the various sectors. I want PS to report that the NGO sector is very aligned with government. If you look at the report that has been launched, all the key priority areas of the current government are the main areas that the NGOs are focusing on. The issue of health, the issue of education, the issue of housing, the issue of drought and climate change. All these are areas that the NGOs are doing a lot of work. The same thing with relief and disaster management, and we have quite a bit of that in the current environment. So by supporting the NGO sector, we ensure that the government will succeed in its priority areas of development. So we are glad and we are honored by your presence here, PS, in that it's the most visible commitment, indication of commitment by the government to work with the sector. I want to invite you to join us as we go to the exhibition so that you can see what these people are doing. They are doing great work, mostly underreported, mostly underappreciated. And I want to encourage that government and the sector work together for the people of Kenya. With that, it is indeed my pleasure to invite the PS to address us. PS.
Thank you. I think we can get seated. So thank you, Chair, Mr. Kibara, the Chair of the NGO Coordination Board, members of the board of the NGO Coordination Board and management, the Executive Director of the NGO Coordination Board, Mr. Mutuma, NGOs represented here, and development partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. We are a full house, yeah? When I walked in, I saw a few empty seats, and I was like, this must be a very interesting week for those who are in the NGO sector. And indeed, it is, like one of the speakers has alluded to the fact that this is like a Christmas for those of you in the NGO world. And I'm looking at the attendance, I'm looking at the excitement in the faces of everybody. I have the advantage of that because we are seated on this side, so we're able to see more people than you can, because you are able to only see just a handful of us. It's quite a heartwarming experience, given that it's the first time we are having a conversation with you guys. Now, first of all, receive greetings from my CS, Professor Kindiki, who should have been with us here, but of course, because of the nature of the work we do, other people dictate our programs, so he's had to attend to something else at the coast. Now, for the NGO board, it's interesting because looking at their mission, and a number of things come to mind. One is to be able to regulate, to build capacity, but also to give policy advice to those within the PBO sector. And I'm certain that what we are doing today, and of course the rest of the week, speaks to that mission. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm genuinely delighted to address this distinguished gathering. And it's such an honor to preside over the launch of the NGO Week 2023. And at the same time, also the launch of the report of the NGO sector report for the year 2021-2022. It's the first time that I'm gracing this occasion, and the impression by the attendance is that we have a passionate and active stakeholders who have immensely contributed to the vibrancy of the sector within the country. NGOs have long been recognized as crucial actors in driving sustainable development, tirelessly working at the forefront to address pressing societal challenges. They embody the spirit of compassion, dedication, and innovation, standing on the front lines of change to empower communities and shape a brighter future for all of us. And listening to a few of the presentations by some of your colleagues is just testament to all this. We acknowledge the important role you play in empowering the wheels of progress. We appreciate you as catalysts for change, advocating for social justice, championing human rights, and uplifting the most marginalized amongst us. Today, we celebrate and recognize your invaluable contributions to the positive change in our country. In this rapidly changing world, sustainable development has become an urgent necessity. We face a complex global challenges such as poverty, inequality, and conflict, which require innovativeness and also the need to be comprehensive with the solutions that we offer. But as you are all aware, we cannot address challenges without nurturing our interdependence as partners. The government on one hand, and yourselves on the other hand. We must join forces to drive social, economic, and political change, recognizing the immense potential of collaboration. And a lot of our political development as a country, or our democracy, to a larger extent, has also been, has benefited a lot from those of you within the NGO world. We must understand that our collective impact is greater than the sum of our individual efforts. This symbiotic relationship is a recipe for success. The report we are launching today indicates that you guys have spent in excess of 185 billion in the last financial year, with 118 spent on various projects and programs in the country. However, NGO prioritization of development projects in sectors such as health, education, welfare, agriculture, water, and sanitation is important. These initiatives should also be aligned with the government's priorities. Access to affordable credit for low-income earners, informal traders, women and youth enterprise through what is now famously known as the Hustler Fund, and provision of safe, secure, and affordable housing in informal settlement are some of the sectors in the government's agenda that NGOs similarly need to plug in. And of course, there is already work that has gone in that space. But as a government, it's something we are asking that you pay quite a bit of interest and attention to, because it's always critical that your work is aligned with what the priorities for the government of the day is. We likewise need stronger partnerships on tackling some of our most pressing security issues. And speaking from the security space, there's a lot that we need to do with regards to peace building, resolution of conflicts, which are mostly as a result of resource-based conflict and the effect of climate change that we are all dealing with or grappling with. For this work, however, as the torchbearers of change, you must reciprocate the trust bestowed upon you by ensuring total compliance with our legal and regulatory frameworks. And the chair of the NGO Council has actually confirmed that we are all aligned, and we go by the rules of on the book. And as a government, again, the president is very clear that one of our key focus as a government is the need to respect the rule of law, as well as our independent institutions. Now, as government commits to ensure that that happens, you have to also meet your side of the bargain. So you do what you've signed up to do. And of course, where there is need for us to have conversations, then we must also be able to utilize existing channels to do so. And looking at the numbers, we are talking of excess of 12,000 NGOs. But it's interesting that barely, I doubt it gets to 30%, filed their returns in the last financial year, or at least within the year in question that we were launching the sector report. And to me, that is an indictment, not just on the board, the NGO board, but also on the council that represents the NGOs, and to all of us, because less than 30% is not acceptable. So we need to find a mechanism of working together to ensure that there is total compliance. And probably it's an opportunity to be much more innovative in how we follow up on some of these things. And we also need to leverage on technology so that then things are much more efficient and we get to 100%. I wish to challenge you to embrace transparency in your funding sources as well as expenditure. And probably this explains why we are having challenges even in some of you filing the tax returns. Maybe there are things we don't want to declare in terms of who is funding us. And as a country, of course, we are very keen in following up the trail for illicit financing. And there is a whole space that we are taking to take care of that. We have the Financial Reporting Center, and there's an ongoing assessment, and it's critical that as we go on about our businesses, we will be as transparent as it gets. Because again, As a government, we will be running a transparent government, and we don't expect anything less from yourselves. Today, I'm here to confirm that Kenya remains committed to creating an enabling environment for NGOs to flourish and thrive. Our doors are wide open, and we invite NGOs to more structured engagement through the official channels, including the framework established by the NGO Coordination Board, as a way of enhancing trust with donors, partners, and the communities that you serve. It is also my hope that we can see more of your presence decentralized from Nairobi and major urban centers to all the 47 counties across the country. We already have a wide network of national government administration officers, and I encourage you to utilize the administrators' influence so that we can directly benefit grassroots communities by addressing their specific needs. Within the ministry, we have our structures all the way to the villages. And I would want to urge that as we look at spreading across the country, we take advantage of this existing government infrastructure, which is responsible for coordination of government programs and activities across the country, so that your impact becomes much bigger than it is today. The ministry is genuinely determined to streamline this ecosystem of partnership and collaboration towards ensuring institutional accountability, transparency, and legitimacy. And before I end, there is a conversation that we've had, at least from the time I came into office, and there is a commitment that the government has made with regards to operationalization of the PBO Act. The challenge is on all of us to ensure that we close that gap as fast as possible. I'm a bit ambitious that we should get this sorted by the end of the year. So before we came here, I was challenging the chair and the executive director that we just need to narrow down on what the issues have been that has made it impossible to have this act operationalized. And interestingly, it's just two main issues: the issue around funding and the concerns around security, which are largely addressed in other spaces legally. So there is no reason why we should continue to have this act not operationalized. So that will be a commitment we are giving as a ministry to ensure that we get this in line with the overall government's commitment on the same. In conclusion, I would like to express my heartfelt appreciation to all of you, the leadership, the staff, the volunteers, and beneficiaries for the commitment that you have on the cause for social, economic, and political change in our country. Let's seize this opportunity to learn from each other, to forge new partnerships, and to inspire a more just, equitable, and sustainable future for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, PS. Can we do a louder clap than that? That was excellent. The commitment of government to continue supporting the sector is very encouraging to us. You know, we have a tradition of giving a few minutes for our guests of honor to respond to one or two burning issues from the audience, and I want to retain that good tradition. So the PS has agreed to take one or two questions or comments, but it must really be burning and very important so that it benefits everybody, not a personal loan request or something like that. Okay, so we'll take one or two. Just put up your hand, you say which organization.
Wow, congratulations, Bonus PS. Also, we congratulate the government for taking this initiative of the NGO Week. We appreciate that the NGO Week was the NGO Council, not NGO Board's week. It ought to have been our week. But due to our weak and poor mechanism, due to our continued, I'm saying continued, Mr. P.S., because I don't trust how you are now going to give your position now, that when we are saying about self-regulatory framework, NGOs has got a self-regulatory framework. NGOs are supposed to be gazetted by you, Bwana PS, or you, Bwana CS. But when NGOs are being gazetted by my own self, Daddy, oh, surely we are lost. The other challenge you are having now in the NGO sector is quite challenging. Right now we have got a faction plus faction plus a faction on a faction. Here we have a chairman who proposed now, who has been gazetted now.